Welcome back to another reading and correcting with me, Kindar, the Tiger Writes, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. These are where I read a chapter from one of my stories and correct it as I go. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. And if you are looking to support me, that is on my Patreon. Today we are doing chapter 46 of The World Which Is. Over the next train, I learned I need to get at least one other item, a razor, as my beard starts coming in and it isn't pretty. Once Brandon stops laughing after he notices the patchiness, he tells me it's not that uncommon at my age. Using soap and a sharp knife, he shaves it off, and it takes nearly a week before it's noticeable again, just as patchy. The traveling goes surprisingly well. Up with the sun, Silver buffs us after breakfast, then we walk until noon, eat, get buffed again, and we walk again. Even when it rained, it never hit the I'm miserable stage of being soaked. Throughout the days, Brendan points to the sky and asks me to predict the weather. I screw it up, of course, and he explains how to go about taking in the shape and grayness of the clouds, the sound of the insects, the feel of the air, and a lot of other things that don't always make sense, and use that to work out what the weather will be like later in the day. He sucks as a teacher, but at least there's no way under the system he can make me not learn. Worse, not learn. Okay, worse that happens is I don't benefit from a teacher's bonus to my learning. He did the same when we encountered animal. He did the same when we encountered animal. At least once a day, he had me pick up a trail to track. The days are leisurely, and even Ellen stops grumbling about it after a while and just enjoys the quiet of the wilderness. There aren't all without events. One lesson um, in following a trail led to a boar. We were close by the time we saw it. We were by the time we were close enough. By the time we saw it, it had okay. We were close enough by the time we saw it that it had noticed us and charged. We couldn't get it to give up the chase, so Brandon stunned it with a blow to skull, and we moved on. When I pointed out that he'd said animals would leave us alone if we didn't disturb them, his reply was that not every animal was the same. Then grinned and added, "It's what makes this fun." We made camp well before the sun reached the horizon, and once we were set up, spent time training. My archery, sword play, blocking, and dodging all got good workout, and Brandon insisted I train hand to hand with him. I'm surprised at how few bruises I got out of those sparring matches. Then we ate, trained some more, and as the sun vanished, me and him read while Ellen and Silver trained some more. Trained some more again. And I don't need the again. Train some more. Magic training involves a lot of talking about it, from what I gathered. The only incident relating to me being hunted, and really it's not much of one, was around London. I probably need to rework this paragraph. It was around London. It's about half the size of Toronto, Elaine explained, and the only actual settlement between it and Detroit after the Nation of the People. We had to cross the road again, and we missed a group on horseback. They yelled after us as we rushed the other side. As we They yelled after us as we rushed to the other side. I heard them trashing through the trees a bit, but they never caught up to us. Um, Maybe on it's not really much of one. Okay, the only it might not be related. Da, 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 da. The only incident relating to me being wanted, and it might not even be related, Breton said it could have been a patrol taking us for brigands, was in around London. It's about half the size of Toronto, Ellen explained, and the only actual settlement between it and Detroit after the Nation of the People. We had to cross the road again, and we missed a group on horseback. They yelled after us as we rushed to the other side. I heard them trashing through the trees for a bit, but they never caught up to us. We explored a few more abandoned buildings, but unlike Brandon's eternal enthusiasm with them, after a while, they all felt the same to me and had nothing of interest. I don't think it's going to rain anymore, I tell Brandon, looking at the sky filled with wisps of cloud ahead of us and the dark ones behind us. I'm pretty much just playing the odds here. I still can't get anything out of what's up there and around us that clues me in, but he nods. Let's look for something elevated to make camp. Hell, will that desiccate spell work on the ground like it does to dry us off? Otherwise, we're going to want to make beds so we aren't sleeping on soggy grass, and those are less comfortable than the ground. It'll work, she replies. Isn't it early to stop? Silver asks. If Ellen can just dry the ground for us. I want Dennis to hunt us dinner, he replies, but as we continue. Shouldn't you do it? I ask. You're more skilled at tracking, which is why you need the practice. And if you don't catch anything, we have that jerky you've offered. If you're sure, he grins. Don't worry about it. You know what you're doing, and you don't have to worry about us going hungry. This is the best time to do it. If you say so. Ah, kind of. I kind of wish I could think of a better way to make it clear that it's Dennis thinking this, but yeah. Under an hour later of yeah, under an hour of walking through a hilly forest, Brandon is satisfied with the location. With words that just don't want to register as such, along with motions and a sprinkle of salt, the water underground vanishes, leaving dry earth and a few wilted leaves and slightly yellowed grass. The spell doesn't adjust to what has more or less water in them. With my bedroll in place, the fire going, and Brandon waving at me, I set forth on my first ever hunting expedition. Alone, barely knowing what I'm doing. I guess there's no better way to learn. I pulled the arrow out of yet another tree. At least I saw where this one hit. I must have lost a good train of them at this point to the underbrush. At this point to the underbrush. Good train of them to the underbrush at this point. Or in a bolting deer, just or in a bolting deer, or to them breaking. That's the thing Brandon might have forgotten to tell me. Hitting an animal isn't enough. If I don't down it in one hit, I have to be able to track its trail as it runs off. That's a lot easier said than done. It takes a lot less than I expected to lose a blood trail. At least, this is good training for my archery and tracking, if not my nerves. Even after these days of peaceful traveling, now that I'm alone, I can't help remember my first time in a forest, that warg, and how lucky I was to survive it. If I come across a bear, like in that house, it's quest over for me. I settle my nerve a little by breathing and focusing on moving without sounds. When I make out a bundle of fur no larger than my head, I pull on the string, aiming, and the damn thing takes off at the creaking of my bow. I resist the urge to chase. That's a waste of time. I resist the urge to chase. That's a waste of time. And look at the shadows. I'm guessing another hour of full daylight. Half of that in an attempt at killing something, then I head back. I spot the trail not long after, and follow it until I see the deer. It's on the smaller side, so better odds of me killing it with one shot. I take position, gently pull the string as I aim, take my time. I have all the time in the world. Well, not really, but what's that? The distraction as the whatever that dark thing is as the whatever that dark thing is pulls my attention, causes my finger to loosen and the arrows off. Miss Holy cow. Missing completely. This is what happens, the difference between in my head and on the page. Things don't always work out, especially punctuation. The distraction as the whatever that dark thing is pulls my attention, causes my finger to loosen, and the arrow's off, missing the deer completely. Unless I'm mistaken, it hit that thing I noticed through the trees. It doesn't roar or scream or even move, so I figure I don't need to run in the opposite direction. I'm cautious in my advance until I realize it isn't something but a hole in the side of a hill. I approach it and see my arrow a few paces inside, well within the light streaming in. I listen for the sound of an animal since I've seen enough movies where they use caves like this as dens, and when I don't hear anything, I step forward. Congratulations, you have found a dungeon. You have found Dungeon of Muncie. This dungeon has not been explored. That's going to be has not been explored. Experience and reward bonus will be bonuses will be assigned upon exit based on percentage of completion. Do you wish to enter? If I'm going to fix a name, I need to fix it across the board. Do you wish to enter Dungeon of Muncie? And the reason I changed it is Muncie's dungeon makes it sound like it's a person's dungeon when the dungeon is named after the geographical location it's in. Do you wish to enter Dungeon of Muncie? Yes. No. My first dungeon. Yeah, I back up, pulling my head away. Don't be an idiot, Dennis. This is a dungeon, not a game room. Since it hasn't been explored, I can't even query the system for rating info on it. That's not a place to wander in alone. I pull up the team window. Thing is, I don't have to be alone, and I'm pretty sure there's at least one of them. There's at least one person who won't say no. I bring up the team's chat. Dennis. Hey, team. I just found a dungeon that's never been explored before. Who wants to go on an adventure? And this concludes chapter 46 of The World Which Is. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like. If you want to know when the next chapter is going to be up, subscribe and hit the bell. If you want to read the story, it is up on Royal Road for free. If you want to support me and read ahead of that, we are about 10 chapters ahead on my Patreon. And if you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. The links are in the notes, and with that, I shall wish you a good day.